Thanks for joining us again for another episode of The Collectors. I'm John McCarthy. Today we're here with Michael Bogle. The guy's got some cool stuff. I've been telling you guys about it for a while. We actually shot this episode a little while back, but there was a problem with the way the footage was imported or something. I don't know, but it was kind of a bum trip. But everything's still here. Got some new stuff that's ultimately super cool. And sorry about the delay. Mardi Gras here in New Orleans kind of put everything on hold, so we weren't able to shoot here for a little while, but we're back now, and this is the one I've been really looking forward to seeing again myself, because I told Michael last time I was here I got super inspired after just seeing all his cool stuff. But thanks for having us, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no problem.
it.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
So tell me how you kind of got into the hobby. You're definitely a little bit more unique in the collecting world.
I don't remember starting. I just always collected toys and comics as a kid, your mom gives you $5 and I would just buy toys, and then I realized I could paint and change my toys, and then it just kind of went nuts after that. So
we can start kind of where we're at now and just look at some of the, you can see that you have pretty.
This is just tastes, we just kind of we like all kinds of toys. So I have just stuff out here from all different kind of walks of life, I guess, just because it's the living room, so it's a little bit of everything. But we have way more specific genre in the toy room.
Yeah, in the vault, yeah.
This is just fun movie stuff that
Yeah, I do like the Frazetta art, though, man. It's super.
There's
super
Frazettas all
cool.
over this house. Yeah, I went to a Comic-Con and a guy just had a stack of them for. I just had, they were so cheap, you just had to get them. So I picked them all up and just. Yeah, the whole house is just Frazettas everywhere. There's more of everything.
All right, cool, man. Let's go in and take a look at the other room here.
Awesome.
Every time I walk in this room, it feels fucking, really, really cool.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's pretty much specific to a handful of movies or genres. It's all sci-fi, pretty much, and fantasy stuff, but it's mostly Star Wars, Alien, just Giger stuff I really like, and mecha, robots, mobile suits, stuff like that. Some anime stuff, Akhira, biomechanical artwork.
Just start kind of working our way around. So, are you? You're kind of the opposite of me. I'm a guy who has a psychological block when it comes to opening figures. A lot of the times, newer stuff I can open and I'm fine with it. But vintage figures, I love seeing them on display like this. But I could never take one and put it in this condition. Getting them right. Did you do those yourself, or did you buy them loose?
Every one of these I buy loose because the same way. I couldn't open a vintage card. It would just crush a small part of me. So I have some stuff that's carded, a few things, but I really love buying loose figures that are complete. They just look better. You can pose them, play. You can do what they're intended to do. Carded figures have their place, but I'm not trying to save all this to be a millionaire one day. I kind of just want to enjoy it now. So that's why I like, the play set up, because that's how you saw them in the advertisements. You know what I mean? I kind of like to semi-recreate.
And that looks like that's a vintage Jabba there, it looks like?
Yeah, this is all vintage Jabba's Palace characters. Got a couple Hoth characters, the little Hoth battle scene. But yeah, and a lot of them, they look the same, but they're variants. Right. So I like to pick up the variants too.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, if I know my Star Wars figures well enough, this Han Solo figure, I don't believe came with that mask.
No, it didn't. Okay. That's actually the mask that Luke wears when he's in the tank healing. But he also puts on a mask when they're knocking off the mine. Is it the Minox off the ship? Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't have the Luke that it went on. I just put it on him. But yeah, that's actually for a different figure. But it still kind of works with what's going on there.
Some of the artwork that you got up here, the Bakshi stuff and all.
Yeah, I love Ralph. I saw Ralph Bakshi's movies too young, and I became a fan, but because they kind of freaked me out when I was a kid. Right. Wizards was always my favorite. So and it's really. They don't make a lot of it, so when they do, usually it's just Ralph Bakshi at his house, making prints of stuff and selling it online. He's very independent, which I like.
And we got this.
It's a Pred Alien movie from the second AVP movie. Probably my least favorite of the Alien Predator universe movies, but this came into my possession and I couldn't pass it up. It's really beautiful and the detail is insane. But again, not my favorite movie, but I have to appreciate the artistic value that the statue has. So
absolutely, man. And I love the alien shelf up here. I mean, I'm a huge fan myself.
I love. I mean, like I said, I really love Giger stuff, and then again watched Alien 1 way too young, and just the two passions came together, and then I just started snapping up all the stuff they make because they make so much good stuff for it. There's a big fan base, so it's like Star Wars. They know people will buy it. So like me. There are models up here too that I make myself and paint myself and kind of try to make them a little larger than life, but for the most part it's just toys, figures and stuff.
Yeah, some of the I really am impressed by when you take a figure like this Kane, for instance, and pull the detail out of that, because I just actually bought that same figure the other day, and I love him in the package, but looking at it like this, I mean, it's just
it's like I was noticing like I'm buying toys and then like they look plastic to me. So I kind of just made up my own effects of just making them dingy, making them dirty, weathered, and it's crazy what a little water and some acrylic paint will make a figure go from plastic to look like it's resin, or maybe it almost looks more like a statue. I have the 79 Kenner Alien, which is probably my favorite Alien toy with the instructions.
Awesome. Yeah.
He's fully complete, so that was my first Alien completed toy project to do. And then Reaction started doing what they were going to do in the 70s, and they look great, especially with everything else. So they just have that vintage look that I really like a lot.
Actually, it would looking like you'd be more of an Alien fan versus Aliens.
Yes, yeah. Well, if it looks cool, I'll get it. Like the Queen and everything is great, but I tend to stick more with Alien 1 because that was the Giger film.
Yeah.
The artwork from the other ones was based off of his designs, but not him. It was Stan Winston. So I really love Giger a lot, and once I just wanted all the Alien 1 stuff, and then I kind of got it, and then had to move on to the other creatures. But I think the most underrated toy in this whole, just as far as creativity goes in the room, is the Monolith Figure from 2001 Space Odyssey.
That's great.
I love the 0 points of articulation. And they really encourage you to collect all the models, the TMA2 and the TMA0 and this TMA1.
That is great.
But yeah, it's basically
super
an acrylic.
Realistic.
It's an acrylic black box, but the idea behind it was just too good.
We're starting to get back into Star Wars land.
Back into the Star Wars universe.
You're a biker scout here. That's pretty awesome. This is your work, right? I mean, the majority of this your 501st. I was super into the biker scouts growing up. I always bicycles and raced motocross and stuff growing up. So I was real partial to them. And then I got the opportunity to get this guy together, and I did. And he's really fun to wear. He's real comfortable to wear. Yeah.
He's the most comfortable one out of all the ones I've done.
He's got some fabric under him there.
Yeah, you can sit, which is cool. You can walk upstairs. You can not trip on kids. Yeah, you can. This is on a pivot, so you can just get some air and breathe or drink some water. And then these are just Sideshow or Gentle Giant. I like both of them, but they're just really visual. Anything that just looks good displayed, I'm into it. This is just your standard, I think 18-inch figure that they're putting out now, and prime example, I mean, he came super white, super plastic looking, and with a lighter. I just let the tip of the flame kind of like lick the white part of the plastic, and it puts this like carbon dinge on it, which, I mean, that's kind of the basis of Star Wars, was everything was very functional and dirty. So with just a lighter, I mean, it just makes it look.
Yeah, it definitely brings out a level
detailed.
of realism. I mean, even juxtaposed beside the biker scout on the speeder bike.
It's all clean. That's the next project. I was just looking at this the other day, thinking that thing looks pretty good, but it could use some help, and
Yeah.
it would look a lot better with some mud and some rust. So.
Right. I mean, just having the two side by side, you can see how much the detail pops more than just the standard one out of the box. You know. Now we starting to get over here. I see a little bit of the Akhira.
Yeah, these are that's a cell from the film, so that's like a hand-drawn painted piece of the movie, which is one of my favorite things. And a couple Tetsuo figures. We have the full line of the Todd McFarlane over here. They look so good in the package that they just needed to stay. The cards just went so well with them. Normally I want to take them out and pose them and photograph them and all kinds of stuff, but yeah, they actually look really good in there, and I'm in the process of picking up loose ones so that I can do that, you know, kind of do my own thing with them. But yeah, they're really good, and he featured 3 characters or 3 toys from the film and 2 of them from the book, which I really like because the book, in my opinion, is so much more than the movie. So it's cool that he kind of went into both worlds like that.
Now, real quick, I wanted to mention this because this is going to come out in enough time before the Star Wars Celebration that's going to be in Anaheim this year. So if you're watching this after April
16th to the 19th is the convention, yeah.
Yeah, you'd be missing it. But the sweet-ass drawings you see here of the A-Wing, the B-Wing, the Power Droid, and all back there, those are, just talk about that a little bit, what you're doing with those, Michael?
Yeah, well, cool. They're putting out a book. It's the Star Wars Force in the Flesh book, and they're releasing it there, which I was involved in, and then, but I'm also going to be tattooing at the convention, so it's kind of weird to tattoo at a convention that's not a tattoo convention.
Right.
So just until then, I'm just every day kind of banging out a couple designs to have ready to go. It's just a lot of it not really like your X-Wing and TIE Fighter and Vader and Luke, but a lot of more of these secondary droids and characters that I don't really you don't really see as tattoos too often.
Can I take this one down?
Sure. So hopefully I'll be able to. I'm thinking a lot of people will be into getting some slightly more obscure stuff at a Star Wars convention. Because
obviously Michael's a tattoo artist, and this is one he did for me, and this is kind of how we met. Is this whole Darth Vader piece here is a little ashy, but you can see the fine work that he does. He's one of the best tattoo artists, especially Star Wars stuff, I've ever seen. So if you ever need a Star Wars tattoo, come to New Orleans to see this guy because he can do it, man. Like this to me is something like there's like a power, like when we did the other episode where Jack had the stuff in his garage and it was just all in the box and it was Star Wars stuff. I mean, to me, this stuff is like individually is plastic, maybe metal, some paint, what have you, but assembled and displayed and surrounded by you. I mean, do you find like a lot of energy?
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I can't walk in this room and not feel lazy.
Yeah.
Because basically, like, yeah, to some people it's a toy, and to some people it's a statue, and to some people it's a poster. But like, it's basically a print of something someone made. You're basically,
right.
It's no different than if you went into an art gallery and you loved a painting and you couldn't afford the original, so you got a print. That's what a toy is. It's a sculpt that someone did. We're just able to get a print of it on a mass level. So when I come in here and like my job is to like have to create cool imagery every day. When I come in here and I'm surrounded by like years of work people have done, whether it's an action figure or a poster, I can't help but to feel kind of lazy, or I'll say motivated.
Inspired.
I'll say inspired and motivated,
yeah.
But to be honest, a little lazy too.
Right.
No matter how much I do, it
Right.
feels like it's not enough, but in a real positive way. So I come in here and I'm surrounded by all the stuff that got me into artwork as a child, and then that's why I go to Comic-Cons, because I go and I see like just rows and rows of people who are just making amazing art, and as like a full-time artist, it's like they get the same thing. I know they do. They
right.
see other people who are making really progressive, cool art, and then you're just like, I want my voice in that too.
These are paintings here that you've done, right?
Yeah, these are oil painting on masonite. They're just still lifes of some of my favorite action figures.
Sweet.
I just have so much stuff laying around. Sometimes I just pick it up and start painting it. So, yeah, these were just my 3 favorite figures right off the top of my head. So I think they're 18 by 24, and I probably painted them about 2 or 3 years ago.
I love the the action figure look, like where you see them, like right the leg joints. I mean, it just looks so.
That's the fun part, was making it look plastic and making it look stiff. Normally you always want to do the opposite, but make it look all realistic, but or just dramatic. But it's really cool to kind of like stick with their stiffness and their highlights and stuff. It's really fun. Yeah, so this wall is a combination of some stuff that I painted and did custom, and other figures and statues that just look cool, I guess. Yeah, this is mostly all Star Wars stuff. I guess coming up we have the custom 31-inch Jack's Pacific Stormtrooper that my girlfriend and I converted into a Sand Trooper. We just kind of cut off a couple of ammo pouches that aren't on the Stormtroopers, replaced them with the leather ammo pouches. We made the pauldron out of some lay-around leather and paint, and just dirtied them up, and it looks really good. So the backpack is next. That'll be phase 2.
It's crazy that is just a version of the regular Stormtrooper.
That's it. It started off as the one on the left, and it ended up being the one on the right. So it's cool to see what it was before. Down here is that AT-AT Walker model was the first model kit I put together, and then I kind of just kit bashed it with some other old World War-esque weaponry, and just kind of made my own heavy arms AT-AT Walker, I guess, with some snow action. So it was really fun, and it kind of opened the doors to doing more custom stuff. And then going right into the little
you gotta
Boba
love
Fett
Jeremy
shrine.
Bullock.
Yeah. Same thing with that 18-inch Boba Fett figure. That's just effects with the lighter.
Like the Biker Scout, yeah.
Yeah, just like the Biker Scout. It's cool with a little bit of black and some brown from the burn. It's easy to melt it. You gotta be careful, but once you kind of figure out a technique, it works really, really well. So just like the Millennium Falcon coffee table, the shelf was built by a friend of mine. He is a metal worker, furniture builder, sculptor, all kinds of stuff, but just custom metal and woodwork. His name's Chris Reed. He does really good stuff. Luckily, he likes to get tattooed, so we're able to kind of help each other out. So I usually have the idea of what I need, and I draw it out on paper and show him the measurements and what needs to fit where, and he makes it happen. So it works out well because he's into toys and sci-fi too, so he kind of gets to jump into the world a little bit when we do new projects. So he does really good stuff, and yeah, he'll probably end up making some more things for the room at some point. This is the Gundam cabinets. These
now,
are
for those real quick who don't know, what is Gundam?
Gundam is a anime and manga from Japan. The anime came out in '79, so it's been around for a while, and it's just never ending. It just keeps going. Movies and books and shows, and Bandai does model kits of all the mobile suits. So it's toys, but it's toys you can build and you can paint. So you actually they build the mobile suits in the show, so it's cool that you kind of get to do it too. These are some of the bigger kits. These are the 48 scale.
So how many pieces are these when you're like putting this together?
Man, it's probably, I mean, there's so many pieces on each rack, and there's the box, there's multiple racks. It just depends. Sometimes the smaller ones have the most pieces. The big ones are actually fairly easy to do, but this was my first one I got to really do custom paint effects on, and so it was a lot of learning with the bullet holes and the scraped metal, but it worked out, so it's been fun.
Now this dude here is freaking awesome.
Well, the Gundam is custom heavy arms, and then I just kind of kit bashed some background hangers and just did my own thing with them, painted them, weathered them, and kind of make it. I always make everything look very used. So yeah, awesome. It's just his where I guess you'd have to make your adjustments on your Gundam.
Cool. Now this is probably my favorite. I mean, because this is just the detail in this one is insane.
This is the Gundam is called Sosby, and yeah, he's a master grade, so he gets to do a lot of cool stuff. Lots of articulation, but this was my first attempt at a diorama and rust and weather, a lot like heavy weathering effect. So again, lots of learning. It was cool to make the mud out of clay and make the bricks out of foam, and lots of learning. First time ever painting miniature figures, but it's cool. It's kind of leading to big cool projects. So
I mean, just even tight on this like this, the detail is so damn great. I mean, you see the bullet holes. So if I don't knock him down and break the whole damn thing here, with the bullet holes and the shield, and I mean the rust looks. I mean, it looks great. Looks awesome.
And different size bullet holes on different size kits are important, so that smaller the hole and bigger the Gundam, you want it to look like the weapons are affecting them differently. Yeah, that's just another guy with a real simple base, just some foam for some streets and
broken pavement and all looks awesome. Yeah. So you designed that whole base yourself?
Yeah, that was my first little small one, and that was my first time using the foam as concrete. So that was some really cool,
that really
lots of learning. The ones down here on the bottom are more of my first kits. These are like the first one. Actually, the orange and white one you're looking at is the first kit I ever put together. So they're cool. I like having them out because they kind of remind me of what got me into it, but also they're kind of hard to look at because they're my first one, so they're not perfect.
Oh, I think they look freaking awesome, dude. No, I'm assuming these here you did the paint on as well?
No, actually,
they come like
these are two I got. They're not kits; they're just actual toys, and they come weathered and like that and everything. The artist is they come from Ashley Wood's paintings. She does.
But she's a comic artist, I believe.
Yeah, and she does, but she paints in oil a lot.
Wow.
And so she does Zombies versus Robots, and World War Robot, and these are some of her characters. But the articulation was great, and I didn't touch them with any kind of. I mean, they looked so good on their own.
There it is. Tear the whole fucking place up, John. What about these guy here?
That's a character called Scope Dog. He's another mobile suit. They're much smaller. You can tell the people are much larger next to the suit, so the suit is way more personal. It's not nearly as big as the Gundam, but he's just another Japanese mecha.
Well, these are freaking great, man.
So this is the last thing I just finished. It was it's a floating shelf that I converted it into a piece of space rock that hangs on the wall. So I wanted something that wouldn't sit on a shelf, just to do something different. So that's all just foam and paint, basically. And yeah, kind of gave a really cool space rock effect, and kind of gets the guys off the shelf a little bit. So hopefully we'll be doing some more stuff with this idea soon.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It kind of turns them into their own like wall art,
exactly. Yeah,
as opposed to being stuck on a shelf somewhere.
Totally. Yeah, you can start like filling up your walls with some 3D imagery, which it's great.
So what's the story with the ET painting here? He's kind of relegated to the back wall behind all the other cool stuff, but it's freaking awesome.
Well, I grew up loving ET, probably like most kids of the 80s. So basically, he was just a Craigslist find, probably the weirdest one. But I go on Craigslist and just put in Aliens or Star Wars sometimes just to see what comes up, and this thing popped up, and it was just this guy in the middle of nowhere on the West Bank, and so I went over there, and he was just sitting there, and he said he had it since he was a kid, and it was great. So I gave him his $15 or whatever he was asking for, some insanely low price, and
the artist is balls.
It says bollocks, so that's just adding to the mystery.
It's so great, man.
That is the ET black velvet painting, but it looks amateur, but just so good. And
it looks awesome.
I showed the guy pictures of the room it was going in, and he was very excited. It was going to a good home. So.
Okay, who is this now?
This is the villain from Gundam. I just made him a skull. Whatever. He's the bad guy. He's all about death and destruction. This is Clown from Akhira. One of my favorite characters. So
and you drew this?
Yeah, these are like the little concept sketches for the paintings, which the paintings have since been sent off to become the poster.
So tell me about the poster project. What we got? What you guys got going on?
Me and 3 other tattooers were really into Japanese pop culture, so we really want to go to Japan and see. There's a 1-to-1 Gundam that's like 3 stories tall or something. So we really wanted to go and see all this stuff. It's really expensive, obviously, to go to Japan. So my friend had a great idea about all of us doing 3 paintings a piece and composing them onto one poster to sell. So we're actually coming up soon. We're going to have a very limited run of G-Clave print posters. They're printed on watercolor paper. They're really nice, and it's featuring me, Jeff Ensminger, Nick Wagner, and Colby Keebler, 2 artists from Black Hive Tattoo in Jacksonville and 1 from Resurrection in Austin, Texas. And yeah, all the proceeds go to funding our trip. So get a poster and help send us to Japan.
Where are they going to be able to find the posters?
Online. Everything will be sold online.
You have a
put
site
stuff on
yet?
Facebook. Yeah, it'll probably be through jeffensminger.com, jeffensmingertattoo.com. He sells a lot of his prints. That's who's actually printing them.
Okay.
And he's one of the artists featured. So
yeah, I'll put your
link or
Instagram at the end of this. So guys, whenever you're watching this, go wait for the very end. You can find a link to Michael's Instagram.
Yeah, actually,
find
Instagram is
there.
the thing that we put out the quickest announcements on posters, where you can buy them. All of that stuff is very feasible on Instagram. So
cool, man.
that's where to find it.
Well, dude, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for showing us around.
Yeah, no
it's going to be super cool, and we're going to get this up soon. Let everyone enjoy everything they've seen. So thanks, Michael.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
See y'all later. Thanks.
Thanks for letting us in the house. Chewbacca.